2020, which promises to be a great year for our city. I now call us to order. First, we will have a pledge of allegiance by myself, and it'll be followed by a invocation by Vice Chairman Henderson. So if you'll please stand and address the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you would, bow your heads with me, please. God, at this time, we just pray for your presence as we travel into a new year. We pray for your guidance in the decisions that we'll need to make. And we pray that you'd give us the ability beyond our capacity to serve others. These things we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Vice Chairman Henderson. There is no special presentation tonight, so now we will move into the order of business for our city council. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? It's been moved and properly seconded. Who's going to second it? Second, thank you. All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, we will now move on to ordinance on final reading, 5A.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone part of a property located at 1605 East 12th Street, more particularly described herein, from R4 Special Zone to UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Bridger, could you come up for a second? And I would like to make a motion to add a condition to this. And I was wondering, do I need to approve this, make a motion to approve first, then add the condition? Okay. So first, I would like to make a motion to approve, move to approve. Thank you so much.
It's been moved and properly seconded.
And I would like to make a motion to add a condition.
Okay.
Okay, and the condition is subject to providing a type C buffer and screen along the shared southern property line, tax parcel 1460J023.
Okay, it's
Thank
been
you.
moved and properly seconded by Councilman Smith. Any
Okay.
questions?
No.
Okay.
And by that being, and that's the proper language and how that should be. I just want to make sure
Sure,
that I'm
just to
doing that
clarify
correctly.
for the intent of that, for the record, was there's a single-family residence just to
Yes.
the south of this property, and that is the tax parcel that we are identifying with the goal of providing a type A buffer and screen along that property line.
Okay, that is correct. All right, thank you so much. Oh yeah, then I would like to move.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
Go ahead and vote on the amendment.
okay.
Okay, so it's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Okay, motion carries. Okay.
To move to approve as amended. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
it's been moved and properly seconded. Vice Chairman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Attorney, just to clarify now, this will move it back to first reading, is that
Yes, sir,
correct?
that will be an approval on first reading as amended.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It's been properly seconded. No discussion to approve as amended. All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Moves it back to first reading. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's read 5B.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone part of a property located at 3630 Ridgeside Drive, more particularly described herein, from C5 Neighborhood Commercial Zone to C2 Convenience Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. I'm still working on this, so we're going to defer it again till January.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Item is deferred until January the 14th. That's correct, Councilwoman? Okay, thank you. Now we will move on to ordinances on first reading. 6A, please.
An ordinance amendment, ordinance number 13474, known as the fiscal year 2019-2020 capital budget ordinance, so as to appropriate $100,000 from the Department of Youth and Family Development Capital Project Early Learning Centers Capital Grants Project to the United Way of Greater Chattanooga for the Quality Matters Grants Program.
Councilwoman Byrd, followed by Councilwoman Coonrod.
Move approval?
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Item B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 2163 West Shepherd Road, more particularly described herein, from R2 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse 0 lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilwoman Byrd.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, hit your light again, please, Councilwoman. You have the mic.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I want to defer this for 3 weeks to 1/28/20.
Sure. Councilman Gilbert? Okay. It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Gilbert. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Deferred until January the 28th. Item C, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 5, Article 3, Division 2, Sections 571, relative to temporary beer permits, Section 575, relative to distance requirements, and Section 587, relative to Station Street, and to add Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 5, Article 3, Division 2, Section 589, relative to training.
Councilman Gilbert.
I'd like to defer this till January 21st.
Thank you, Councilman. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Item is deferred until January the 21st. Okay, now we will move on to resolutions. Madam Clerk, let's please start with 7A.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Tanika Jackson as interim city treasurer.
Councilwoman Byrd.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. 7B, please.
A resolution authorizing the Chief Human Resources Officer to renew the contract with Collins and Company, Inc. for the provision of third-party administrative services for the city's job injury program for a one-year term with one remaining one-year renewal option at the rate of $6,800 per month, including payment of the city's job injury claims for an annual total amount not to exceed $3 million.
Councilman Gilbert.
I'd like to defer this to February the 4th.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Okay, you got a motion on the floor to defer. Is there a second? Okay, it's been seconded. Any questions? All in favor with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Item is deferred until February the 4th. Item C, please.
A resolution authorizing the Chief Human Resources Officer to renew a service and licensing agreement with GovernmentJobs.com, DBA, NeoGov, to provide human resources software services for onboard and performance management services in addition to the current recruitment and applicant tracking services for a renewal term of 12 months with a one-year renewal option thereafter for an annual cost of $74,392.65.
Councilman Gilbert.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Item D.
A resolution authorizing the Office of the City Attorney to renew purchase order number 536370 with Arthur J. Gallagher Risk Management Services, Inc. for city property and terrorism equipment, fleet, mobile communications, and fine arts insurance services for the second and final 12-month renewal term in the amount of $482,155.
Councilwoman Byrd.
Move approval.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. Item E.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Dwight Smith to the Beer and Record Board.
Councilwoman Coonrod. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. F, please.
A resolution approving a special exceptions permit for a residential plan unit development for properties located at 8024, 8104, 8108, and 8202 Shalford Road, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, sir.
You have
Mr.
the mic.
Price. Yeah, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Mr. Price?
Yes, sir.
This was deferred based on a new site plan that I believe worked out some kinks as we were in community meetings, and I believe that we've come up with a little bit better plan than what was originally presented. And I think one of those, correct me if I'm wrong, but planning version number 2 reduced our original from 96 units down to 92, which was a community concern. 125 parking spaces down to 118, 2 entrances to 1, and I think that was covering several items that we were addressing in the community meeting. Do I have that correct?
That is
In the
correct, yes, sir.
conditions?
We added a decel lane, which was one of the main
The decel
concerns.
lane, too.
With traffic and dedication of some right-of-way.
Okay, very good. John, are we going to go through?
Yeah, just make sure everything lines up in terms of
Yeah,
conditions in the
I
site
want you to go
plan.
ahead and
I
read
think
those, and then we need to check and see if there's any opposition.
I think the conditions
Okay.
read 90, since it's 92 on the lot, on the site plan, to make sure that's the same as the list of conditions on the actual resolution.
Okay,
The,
very good.
the actual resolution right now is limited to 92 units.
It does say 92?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think-
And 118, and then also the requirement for open space is 9.7 acres as shown on the site plan.
That is correct, yes.
Yes.
Is there any opposition present?
Great.
Sam.
So, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank, by the sign of no opposition, I want to thank the developer and the engineer for working with the community and finding a better product, I think, from when we originally started and the engagement process with the residents of the area. So with that, I'll move to approve.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Great job, y'all. Item G.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number Y190092202 to Engineered Solutions of Georgia, of Marietta, Georgia, Glenwood YFD Center, and other city facility foundation repairs for a contract amount of $59,525.88, plus a contingency amount of $6,000, for a total project cost of $65,525.88 for all departments.
Councilman Gilbert, followed by Councilwoman Coonrod.
I'll allow Councilwoman Coonrod to go first.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. H, please.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 4 for CH2M Hill Engineers, Inc., relative to contract number W15002-101, Friars Branch South, Chickamauga Creek, Fire Interceptor Rehabilitation for additional professional services in the amount of $106,300 for a revised contract amount of $1,143,990.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Approval?
Councilman Gilbert. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. Item I.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 2 for J. Comby Construction, Inc. of Cookeville, Tennessee, relative to contract number W16013-201, City Code Pump Reliability Improvements, a consent decree project for the increased amount of $1,709,686 for revised contract amount of $9,788,483, plus a contingency amount of $171,000, for a total project cost of $9,959,483.
Councilman Byrd, followed by Councilwoman Kumrai.
Move to approve.
Did you have anything, Councilman Gilbert? You do? Okay. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Item J, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number W190242201 to BLD Services LLC of Kenner, Louisiana's sanitary sewer mainline full wrap service connection seals for year one of a 3-year term in the amount of $428,000 annually.
Council, what is your pleasure? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Item K.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number E190112201 to Willoughby Roofing and Sheet Metal, Inc. of Coleman, Alabama, roof inspection and repair blanket contract for year one of a 3-year term in the amount of $300,000 annually for all departments.
Council, what is your pleasure? Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. L, please.
A resolution authorizing year 3 of a 4-year term for the on-call blanket contract for professional surveying services, contract number 17002-901, with the following firms: 1, Arcadis US Inc., 2, ASA Engineering and Consulting Inc., 3, Civic Engineering and Information Technologies Inc., 4, Earthworks LLC, 5, the RLS Group Inc., 6, S&ME Inc., and 7, Vaughn and Melton Consulting Engineers, Inc., based on the services categories of the professional surveying services, that each consultant qualify for the renewal of 7 1-year blanket contracts for professional services estimated at $300,000 total annually for all 7 professional firms for use by all departments.
Councilman Gilbert.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Item M.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to renew the agreement with Chattanooga Transfer LLC for the transfer, transportation, and disposal of municipal solid waste and transfer, transportation, and disposal of construction and demolition waste for the renewal period of September 27, 2019 to September 26, 2022.
Council, Vice Chairman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Stone, could you come up, please? I think, and we discussed this a little bit in our strategic planning meeting earlier, and I think there's maybe some more questions that have arisen since that time. This contract is about a renewable contract. Is that correct? Is that what I understood you say at 1:30?
That is correct.
And the period was supposed to start, this says here, September 27th, 2019.
That is correct. Yeah, when we were initially informed that it needed to be rebid, but when the actual contract was found, the hard copy contract, not only did it not need to be rebid, it was past the renewal date, and we had not had any objections to the contract.
Okay, so, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that there was some confusion. I know that we were going to put out an RFP for our convenience centers for hauling that. And were those individuals told at that time that before they could actually bid out the convenience centers, that this one would have to go out for an RFP? I mean, were they actually told it would, that the transfer would have to go out for an RFP?
Based on the original information, yes, because the way that our centers, the way that it's written for our centers, all of that material has to go to whomever our landfill operation is. At that point in time, we still had our own landfills originally.
Okay. So I think at some point in time, there was some misinformation given out. Would that be fair to say?
Unbeknownst to the individual that was giving out the information, it was incorrect at the time.
Okay, okay. And so in fact, the contract is for a renewal that does not have to go out for an RFP.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure we at least had a good understanding of what had happened. I don't know if anybody else has any questions or not.
Yeah, Councilman Gilbert, you have something?
Just a quick question.
Sure.
The location where they take this, do you know offhand where the yard is?
The final disposal of the material?
Right, after material?
I think
Where they-
Bradley County.
Where?
Bradley County is the
Bradley County.
landfill.
Okay. This name of this company, it's the same, have we been using it for years?
Yeah, they kind of have two names for some
What's the other
reason.
name?
Santec.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes, my question had to do with the two names. Actually, Santec bought out Chattanooga Transfer?
To be honest with you, I do not know the logistics of their relationship at this point.
Okay, I'm thinking it might be good form for the contract name to be in the company it's really in. Just something to think about. We've done that before. So the contract should be with Santec. Yes?
Whichever the name of the company
Just so
is
it's
now.
proper. We've done
Yeah.
that before.
Okay,
Kept a
yes.
contract, but given the proper name. That's number one. Number two, help me out a little bit here. When we're talking about contract renewals in general, what is the criteria for whether something gets renewed or not, or goes out for RFPs?
Well, from my understanding, if it has open renewals and there is no objections to their performance, then the department at that time would agree for the renewal.
And so it's totally up to the department.
Well, it's going to be based on.
I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying, is that how it works? So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is it sounds like, Tony, did you want to answer?
No.
It sounds a little bit like the good old boy system, and I'm trying to figure out how does someone else get in the mix if you have these multiple year renewals without it going out for RFPs?
Well, when the contract has been established for the term, if it's a 1 year plus additional years, near the conclusion of that year, it's discussed with the department, do they wish to have that contract renewed based on the performance of that vendor? We also reach out to that vendor to see if they want to continue to do business under that same agreement. And if both parties are in agreement, then we present it to council for the renewal of that contract.
I guess my question is a little more esoteric, and that is, this thing goes to 2022 now. How long has Santec or Chattanooga Transfer, all in all, had this contract?
We'll have to go back and pull the file.
I think it's since 2005 or 2000. I mean, it's a long time.
To be more accurate, I'd like to go back and pull that file
All right,
information.
since it first started, I believe it started with Chattanooga Transfer, and these may be wonderful companies. I'm not knocking the companies at all. It's the process. So I think it goes back to the early 2000s, and now we're getting ready to renew it again. And I guess one of the things I'd like for us to be looking at is how do we open the doors for all companies as we grow and change. So not a criticism of these companies. I'm wondering if we could look at the process a little more closely. And I would be curious to know how many years Chattanooga Transfer and then Santec has had this contract, because it's, what's the value of the contract? It's not here, but offhand.
Let's see.
Nobody knows? Oh,
Well, while you're looking it up, Councilman Smith, would you like to speak?
Sure. Thank you, Chair.
Sure.
Mr. Stone, earlier at 3 o'clock when I was asking some of those same questions Councilman Henderson pointed back out, I think we came to that agreement that it was just a matter of this was a contract that you did not know you would be able to renew because it had passed the renewal date. Can you tell us what past the renewal date means if you were still able to renew? What's the...
On the hard copy contract, the renewal date was September the 16th. And I think when all parties were made aware, it was December.
So it had to be or just would have been renewed?
Well, I
at
think
that
in the
date?
contract, I think, and mostly all of them, if there's a dispute, you have to have something with the purchasing department to say that we do not want to renew this, or made some communication with the vendor that their performance was poor, and we had not had any.
There hadn't been
documentation.
any communication like that with the vendor at all?
No.
And at which point, just so that we understand as well, because this was, a couple of months past due, how did that come to light that we missed this contract? Did we just not get the service anymore, or did they keep providing the service after the date, after September 27th?
They kept providing the service. We found that the original information was in an old database,
Okay, so they did,
and the person that did that has since retired.
so they did continue to provide the service at that time?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah,
Thank you,
the
Councilman.
ending date was September the 27th on there of the agreement. Yes, sir.
Okay. Vice Chairman Henderson?
So, Mr. Stone, let me ask you this. This is renewing, so for a renewal period through September 26, 2022. And before that date, obviously, we'll need to have something in place, but in September 2022, do we put this back out for an RFP, or does this continue to renew?
I think based on, it can be put back out, let me say that, but we evaluate the performance of the vendor.
Well, I guess,
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay, so, but I get, what is in this language here that would allow us to know that we wouldn't have to put it out for an RFP if we were satisfied? I mean, in my mind, when a contract runs out, it's put back out for an RFP. I know many times we'll say, for the first year or second year of a 4-year contract or whatever. But at what point would we ever put this out for an RFP? Only when we're not satisfied with the vendor, or what?
Councilman, I would like to defer to our city attorney, because what we normally do at the conclusion of that, in discussions with the department, that's what our current policy is. We try to put it back out for a new bid, but I would defer to our city attorney for a response.
In September of 2016, there was an amendment to the agreement, which had originally started back in 2005 with this vendor. And in September of 2016, the parties agreed that there would be a 3-year term commencing, and thereafter there would be 3 optional renewal periods of 3 years each. There is no provision that talks about what the option would be done, but it would be the option of both parties to continue that. In this case, there was no discontinuance at the end of the term, so the term continued to work, and the provider continued to provide that service under the contract, and they have a contractual agreement.
Okay, so, so basically they've got it through 2025.
Through 2022, unless you, at your
I
option.
thought you said in 2016 there was
Yes, sir.
3 optional.
Yes, sir. Optional renewal periods. If you option to not renew at the
3
end.
optional, that's 9 years, isn't it,
Yes, sir.
from 2016?
From 2016, yes, sir. That is optional, and it's optional at both parties' decision. If you decide that you don't want to do it at the end of this 3-year term, you could likewise do that.
But my question is, it doesn't have to go out to bid again until 2025.
It does not have to go out to bid again until the end of 2022 unless you, at your option, and the other party at their option, determine that you don't want to continue.
Okay, so if we exercise our option,
Correct.
we could extend it for another 3 years.
Correct,
At the end of that 3 years, which would be 2025,
correct,
we would then have to put it out for an RFP.
correct. Yes, sir.
That's what I was getting at. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vice Chairman. Councilman Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm curious. It said 2005 when this company had this.
Initially, yes, the first agreement was in 2005. The document says that it was January the 25th, 2005.
Tony, you've been here this long time. Is this company the same company that at one time we delivered at Birchwood? There were two separate areas that the city owned, one side, the other person owned the other side, and we shipped things out, and we had some issues with them using our scales, using their people. Is this the same company?
I can't say for sure that it is without pulling the file myself and looking at the documents to see if where there has been name changes. I do recall that there was a name change where we have Santex, but the prior name, I have to look at the file to be sure.
Really curious about that because we had some controversy when I first came. It was in 2005 or 2010, 2011, about this company that they was using our scales, using their people, and we had to make a change. So I'm curious, is this the same company that we had issues with before?
I'll pull the file and look through the documents to see about the name changes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Burrs.
Did we ever find out the value of the contract? So
It's based on tonnage, so it's how much tons go across the scale.
yeah, I get that, but we ought to have some idea of what it's costing us since this service has been apparently renewed for 17 years. I think that I'm not ready to, obviously, it's our process, and the process probably needs looking at because for 17 years, no one else has been able to do anything because we're satisfied, whatever that means. And that's great. But I think it ought to be a level playing field. So I'm just trying to figure out what this is worth. I think that becomes very important. Mr. Chair, I think I'd like to defer this for a week. I
Sure.
don't know how my colleagues feel, but I think we should know what we're talking about. We keep talking about opening the doors for everyone.
So is that the form of a motion?
Yes, sir, that's the form of a motion.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further questions? All in favor with the sign of aye? Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Item is deferred until January the 14th. You're very welcome, Councilwoman. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's now move on to transportation. Item N.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to enter into an agreement with Integrated Properties LLC relative to contract number T19015 for construction services associated with Shepherd Road in the amount of $661,140.72 with a contingency amount of $66,114.07 for a total amount of $727,254.79.
Councilwoman Burrs, move for approve, okay. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Item O, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to enter into an agreement with Tally Construction Company, Inc. relative to contract number T19001-201 for construction services associated with West 26th Street in the amount of $1,269,193.55 with a contingency amount of $126,919.36 for a total amount of $1,396,112.91.
We have Councilman Ledford, followed by Vice Chairman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is in your district, and without opposition, I'd like to move to approve.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. It's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any further questions? All in favor by the sign of aye? Opposers, nay? Motion carries. Item P.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Youth and Family Development to renew the blanket agreement with Volunteer Electric for the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, payments for the Office of Family Empowerment for an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Councilwoman Coonrod. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye? Opposers, nay? Motion carries. That concludes this portion of our evening agenda session. We will now move on to purchases.
Good evening again, Council. We have a few purchases for your consideration. First being from the Department of Transportation, purchase of Grid Smart CPU upgrade trade up being awarded to Grid Smart Technologies Incorporated for a total cost of $54,800. The remaining of the purchases will all be from the Department of Public Works. First being from the Division of Citywide Services, a new blanket contract for washing of heavy-duty trucks being awarded to Detailed Experts Franchise Systems, LLC, for a total estimated annual amount of $25,000. The next item from the Fleet Management Division, a blanket contract renewal, Heil OEM Truck Parts and Services, being awarded to Stringfellow Incorporated for a total estimated annual amount of $250,000. The last two being from the Waste Resource Division. First, a blanket contract renewal, Hydraulic Cylinder Equipment Services being awarded to Tri-State Hydraulics Incorporated for a total estimated annual amount of $500,000. And the last is a blanket contract renewal for membrane plates being awarded to Andrix Incorporated for a total estimated annual amount of $400,000.
Seeing no questions, what is your pleasure, Council?
Move for approval.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further questions? All in favor by the sign of aye? Opposers, nay? Motion carries. Purchase is approved.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now we move on to other business. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, sir. We have discussed today that there is an injury settlement for one of the Chattanooga police officers, Caleb Corbin. Mr. Corbin's settlement at this point in time is based upon an impairment rating that he has received from his doctors, and he has signed that settlement agreement. It's in the amount of $27,000. We're trying to at least get approval for that to get that resolved this evening.
Okay, what action is required? That's it?
That's it, just to make that announcement, and we have no authority above 25, so I'm trying to make sure I pronounce that to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nobley.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other business this council would like to bring forth? We have Councilman Gilbert.
Yes, Chair. I'm sorry I've been going back to M, but Tony, when y'all go back and look at this, can you look at who the owners were in 2005 up to this time, and the name changes from the time of 2005 to this time, and the location of the landfill from then to now? I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Gilbert. Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a public service announcement. If you're leave tonight and you're heading east on 24, be aware that the bridge is shut down at Moore Road. Traffic is moving extremely slow. I did see an alert on the SmartWay TDOT, and it's moving very slow. You might want to try to find an alternate route. If you're heading east out to District 4, you can follow me a different way.
Then they're gonna wind up down in Atlanta somewhere, but that's okay.
That may be where we end up.
Hey, call me. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Councilman Ledford. Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. Every 3 months, we try to do a community gathering where we get together and explain the roles of city council. We call them Coffee with a Councilman. And this Saturday at YFD, Avondale YFD Center, we will be holding Coffee with a Councilman from 1 o'clock to 3. And you can come see a lot of the services that the city has and that we offer throughout the city. And I just encourage everyone to come through and meet the city councilman for District 8. And look forward to seeing you, and hopefully some of my other colleagues will be there as well. Thank you. I love y'all.
Okay. Is it gonna be any food? I heard coffee. Donuts. I'll see you the following week. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. I would not be able to attend on Saturday. I have prior obligations. But I guess CDOT or either Public Works. I have a question about the Wilcox Tunnel. No.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you know, a couple of budgets ago, you know, we spent $2 million on getting that tunnel fixed. And the lights look great, but it's nasty back to where it originally started. It looks like $2 million wasn't even put into it to fix it up. And the siding, whatever you all put up, is peeling.
Yeah.
It's patches of it just coming down, falling on cars. I drive through it every day. Is there a plan to get it fixed, or to, you know, more than just a patchwork, but what are we doing to fix it?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'll be happy to huddle with Mr. Stone after the meeting. They do regular cleaning. We possibly have some warranties on that membrane that we put in for repair. So we would share responsibility for repair of the membrane and as well as cleaning and maintenance. But I'll get with Donald as soon as the meeting's over, and happy to come back to you on what we plan to do.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Gilbert.
This is for Public Works. Do you know offhand what type of brush they're using on that tunnel, on that liner? Is it a
The
hard
actual-
brush or is it soft?
That I'm not sure of.
Can you find out? Because when we first put that in there, it was suggested to use a soft brush so that it would not tear like it has been tearing. So can you find out? 'Cause I know they're cleaning the other tunnel on Brainerd Road going to Macaulay, but that's a tile tunnel. It's not a liner, so it's totally different from the one we are doing.
Okay.
But can you find out about the equipment we're using and what type of brush they're using on that?
I'll definitely do that.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other business this council would like to bring forth? Hearing none, let's do committee reports. Councilwoman Burrs.
We're hard at work on budget, as is the whole city, but council is as well. We begin the budget process, we began it in November. We'll be going forward with council hearing the budget beginning in April or May, probably May. Once we start talking about the budget, it will be up online, so that the council has chosen to be very transparent about budget, and so that you will know everything we're discussing and the schedule that we're discussing it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman Burrs. Councilman Byrd. Gotcha.
I'm not on. There we go. January the 14th, Economic and Community Development will have a public art annual report, and we also doing committee, and we'll also hopefully have information discussing predatory lending from the request of Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Coonrod. Sure, thank you. Councilman Gilbert. Vice Chairman Henderson. Councilman Ledford.
Planning and zoning did meet today during our agenda session, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Smith.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. That concludes committee reports. Now is the time that we recognize person wishing to address this council. Is there anyone that would like to address us tonight? Come forth. Mr. City Attorney, would you please read the rules?
Sure. At the end of each council business meeting, the chair can recognize members of the public that wish to address the council. Here's your rules. Each speaker wishing to address the council can only be recognized at the microphone up front. No person can have more than 3 minutes to speak. The speaker can address the council only upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority, and don't address the council on matters which are not under their authority and which are regulated by other governmental bodies. Can't use any vulgar, obscene language, nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others. And the speaker should address the council as a whole and not make comments directed towards individual council members. I can do so once a day, and please go ahead, ma'am.
Marie Mott, Oak Grove. Happy New Year, everyone. I just wanted to stand here and give recognition to Mr. Alfred Williams, who was unfortunately murdered in between City Gear and the Brainerd Walmart, but he died a hero. He saved a woman's life while he was on his smoke break and pushed a woman out of the way and told her to run, and he was trying to run for safety, and unfortunately he was shot and lost his life. The commentary that I have is that often, unfortunately, in the city, gun violence is painted as a gang problem, but gun violence is an American issue. And part of it, I believe, because we have not learned conflict resolution skills, we have not learned how to come to tables and, as my childhood pastor would say, disagree without being disagreeable. I want to encourage two things from this council, and certainly from our mayor. Number one, this man deserves to be honored as a hero. His funeral is Thursday at noon. I don't expect any action from the council by then, but I would definitely like to see from the city that he is honored in some sort of way in recognition for the sacrifice of his life of saving another citizen in this city. But the hard job that we have as not only a council, but even community members, what are we going to do about the real issue of gun violence that is plaguing the city of Chattanooga? I do not believe in apathy and turning a blind eye, and I don't believe in the excuse of that we don't know. What I do believe is that we can come to tables and that we can encourage community stakeholders, nonprofit stakeholders. We can encourage people from all different walks of life to come to tables and figure out what are some things that we can do about the violence that we are experiencing. And then we need to dive into deeper conversations in our own separate communities about how can we talk about the problems that we have without getting angry. And if we get angry, that we walk away from a table with love. I would just like to see something come from this council, spearheaded from this council, on how we are going to proceed further in the city of Chattanooga, because we have lost a lot of young people to gun violence. It is a very real issue that is tearing apart families and communities, and locking people up is not a sole way out of that as well. We have to see what we can do on the front end to try to prevent these instances from continuously plaguing our city, and that's just my charge. I encourage you to be encouraged as we go into this new year. I believe we're going to do great things in this city, and I'm praying for each and every one of you, and my motto is, I love you all, and it's nothing you can do about it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mott. Very well said.
Sylvester Harris, 3300 Curtis Street. I was told that now we will be able to speak each week, 3 minutes. So I'd like to thank the council for that. Thanks for bringing that back, because I think the freedom of speech is a powerful thing, and I think people ought to be able to speak when they need to. Then we spoke on Wilcox Tunnel. I pray one day that we can appropriate enough money, because it's time for that tunnel to go down. Tunnel been there long enough, it's lived its day, and it's time to try to find some money somewhere, to dig somewhere to tear that tunnel down or make another tunnel through there and use the existing tunnel going the opposite way. But we got to do something with the Wilcox Tunnel, because it's time. But I want to say another thing about the Police Advisory Board. I think it's moving a lot too slow. I think we need to get on board and get this done, because people ask me all the time, how's it going? And I say, well, it's going, but I can't give them any information. So I want to know from the council when we're going to finally get this on board and get it going the way it needs to go. And like I said, my goal in life, even with this council and this board, is to award officers too. I mean, in my district, and I hope every district, that we can find officers that's doing a good job, and we can award them for the good job they're doing. Because going on some of the ride-alongs, I learned a whole lot, and I advise all people to one day go to some of these council boards and go to these meetings and go to a lot of this stuff and learn some stuff. I think the lack of knowledge is what's hurting this city, and we need to try to empower the people when they'll know how this stuff works and how things go, and they'll know how to handle it a lot better. But we got to get this council board going, because, I've been on this board since last year, and I've completed most of the course. I'm ready to get it done. So we got to get, each council person has to get their person on board and get all of the criteria that we need to do and get this, one thing ahead. But like I said, my goal is not only, I'm not out to get anybody, that ain't why I chose to get on the board. Because like I said, once I went on them ride-alongs, I learned a whole lot. And it's a whole lot of good officers. So we ain't out for no witch hunt. We out to reward people when they do good. And if you have to be recommended, that's just part of the job. But the main thing is to give people their credit when they do good. But Wilcox Tunnel, it's time to bring it down. It's time to tear it down and put a new tunnel down. Thank you for your time, and I hope y'all had a good Christmas and a good New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Thank y'all.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the council this evening? Seeing none, we are adjourned.